Hey guys, welcome back to the Marketing for Tax Professionals podcast. My name is Emily.
And this is Jesse.
And today we're going to be talking about LinkedIn. And the reason why is because around this time, you're going to want to focus on some business acquisition if you are B2B, right? So LinkedIn is all about that. Let's go ahead and talk about the platform itself. Let's go through some basic things. And at the end of this episode, we might get a little bit technical because there are some next level strategies that you could potentially use that you could basically automate some of this stuff that we're going to be talking about initially. So how would you use LinkedIn as a tax pro?
So you want to make sure that it's very different in terms of like how you position yourself, whether it's Facebook, Instagram, or TikTok, right? Because it's more of a professional setting. So the main thing I guess the low-hanging fruit, the easy things that you can knock out very quickly, and actually within LinkedIn, it almost gives you like a progress bar within your bio to make sure that you have all those things cleared out. So make sure that you have a really cool picture, like an awesome picture of yourself, maybe looking professional. Mine needs to change, actually.
Across everything.
Mine needs to change
in Slack too
to represent a little bit more of that professional feel within the bio. Now,
I do want to add something about the profile pictures. One of the recommendations that I typically give is to have a very colorful background. And you can easily do this through Canva by putting a picture, removing the background of your current picture, and then using like yellow or like a bright color, because that typically like stands out in your comments, in your posts and things of that nature. So it's not just having a very professional picture and a professional banner. It's also taking into consideration how that profile picture actually shows up on the things that you do inside LinkedIn, right? So like if you're posting something or if you are liking something or you're engaging with somebody's post, how does that LinkedIn profile picture look? And just be mindful of that. Of course, if your brand doesn't have yellow, don't use yellow, but like if you have another color, something that pops is something, it's a good tip. It's something that stands out.
Yeah, and make sure that the image is not pixelated.
Yes.
I mean, I've seen plenty of those and where it's just like that first impression. It's like, man, if you can't even take care of your picture, like you're really going to take care of my taxes? No. Right? Come on, like get those things tidied up. And if possible, and I know I've looked at your LinkedIn quite a bit. You did a professional photo shoot, right? Like a legit photo shoot.
I usually do once a year.
And how much did that cost? Like what was that breakdown?
It's anywhere from like $400 to $1,200, depending on what you want to do. Like if you want to have like different outfits, you're gonna go, obviously it's gonna go up. If you want to have different scenes and things like that, but yeah, $400 investment a year.
And what's cool about it, it's not just for the LinkedIn picture, because you can repurpose those kind of images, especially on the site. Right? Like you wanna show that personality on the site. Make sure that you're smiling within the picture as well. It's more inviting, it's more welcoming, versus like a very stern kind of stoic look. So highly recommend making sure that you do that. Within the bio as well, you want to craft a very compelling headline. One thing that I do see is a lot of tax professionals going after like their credentials and saying like I'm MBA, EA, CPA, you know, like
I've seen
it's
that
a lot
too.
of that. And yes, to some degree, I think that's okay. But I think you have a better opportunity of crafting something like, you know, I specialize in helping freelancers maximize their tax revenue, blah, blah, blah,
Think
blah.
about that particular headline as like the first thing that you would say to somebody, instead of being all the things that you are, like helping agency owners save as much as possible or something like that, right? Like something short to the point, but it's kind of like the like an elevator pitch that you put in there, right? Some people use emojis there too. I know I use emojis, but the reason why I use an emoji there is because again, when I go to post and reply to other people, I want my comment to stand out. There are also like if you pay for LinkedIn Navigator or careers, I forget the career version of it, you have the ability to add your website to the profile name and the tagline right underneath. So whenever you post, and notice I'm saying whenever you post, whenever you reply, because that's part of the strategy for LinkedIn, right? You can also put the website like, you know, book a call here with me. And then they immediately, like if your comment is good, if you're replying and you're actually providing value, people on LinkedIn will literally click on that URL and book a call with you if you do it right.
Yeah.
So
and also too, when you're going through the lists of different people, or you're going to send a message or something like that, right underneath the profile picture is that little tagline or headline.
Yeah.
You know, if you have something that's specific to like a niche, for instance, if you're going B2B, I mean, those things stand out, like helping dentists or helping teachers maximize this, or helping small business owners or something like that. I think that's really cool. One thing too, that I found really interesting is making sure that you can sprinkle a lot of those keywords within your bio.
Yes.
Because that really helps with your SEO. So when you're typing something in on Google, or you're trying to, need help with certain taxes, or if like, let's say the intention is to work with someone who's specific for that particular niche, your LinkedIn profile might pop up within the search results, because it sprinkles those things in and make sure that you can find those people on LinkedIn.
Yeah, speaking of tags, like, the profile optimization is really important. And in the settings section, there are actual skill set tags that you can add into your profile. Like when they search for you on LinkedIn, it will pop up. It's a certain, like, I don't remember what number, like the actual number it is, but like it's a limited amount of tags for the skill set. So make sure that if you are working B2B, again, this particular episode is all for B2B, right? But depending on what your niche is, like, make sure that the skill set tags actually are relevant to that particular niche as well. Because otherwise your niche is not going to find you either. Yeah. It's really important for you to also put your history, employment history, and things of that nature. If you've been a tax pro for a very long time, there's no need for you to add anything additional to that. But I would also recommend that if you have connections that have been your customer in the past or are currently customers of yours, ask for a recommendation, and that way they can put the recommendation on your LinkedIn profile, because I find that actually increases your thought leadership when people are looking at your profile. When they scroll all the way down and you have a bunch of different testimonials, that's how you're going to get sales. Yeah,
absolutely. And now kind of making sure that you have the bio, right? That's number one. That's really easy to do. Just spend some time on it.
Yeah.
Now, in terms of the type of content, like what do you think resonates the most within LinkedIn? Because obviously some of the things that you want to share on Facebook versus Instagram versus TikTok, or even Snapchat, even on Google, like they differ in terms of kind of like the feel. So like, just based on your experience in creating content for LinkedIn, what does that look like for you?
Well, your tone definitely changes, like your tone. So it might be a little bit more professional, a little bit more rigid, right? But at the same time, I think it's really important for you to really understand who your ICA is, because if your niche is dentist, for example, we always talk about dentists. If your niche is dentist, you want to think about what they're currently going through today, and actually have conversations, like post about the things that they're currently going through. But it's not just that relatable part of the post. You also want to have value inserted in there. Long format content is actually very effective on LinkedIn. Some people think that the longer the content piece, the less people are going to pay attention. But LinkedIn is a different beast. People that are on LinkedIn actually read the content that you put out. You don't want to be lazy about it. You really want to put as much value, as much information, be very educational. If you take away anything, just walk in there with educational focused content, right? Just be a teacher as much as possible, and the rest will follow. Because if you have your profile optimized, people are going to click on your profile after you come in with all of that education and want to learn more about what you do. They typically do that.
Yeah, I've seen that a lot in LinkedIn, where a lot of long form content, there's just expressing like an idea.
Yeah.
Right. And they're fleshing out the idea. It's almost like a journal, right? They're like talking to themselves and they're like, maybe if we did this within the industry and we added this piece, because people are thinking about these similar thoughts, ideas, and you're piggybacking off of that. And then they're like, oh, I've been thinking about this for a really long time, blah, 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 blah. So it starts that conversation just with like ideas that you start to express on LinkedIn.
And I think we want to be careful with that too, because those people that you're talking about are thought leaders in their industry, right? So for example, me as a marketer, I would have that conversation of like, you know, this is my philosophy or my ideals in terms of marketing. This is how social media should be. And then you as a marketer is going to come to me and say, you know what, Emily, I agree with that. I think that I've been thinking about that too. But from a tax pro perspective, you still want to be aware that your audience is not your fellow tax pros on LinkedIn. It's actually another business owner. It's the dentist. It's whoever it is that you're talking to on LinkedIn, right? Now, you may want to sprinkle some of those ideals as a thought leader so that other tax pros can come in and you know, maybe debate under the comments or maybe say that they agree and actually build your algorithm up that way. But just keep in mind that those are two different audiences, right? Because if I were to be looking for clients as a marketer, I'm going to talk different and my ideals are going to be shared for sure, but my ideals are going to be shared for somebody like you who is a marketer. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it definitely does. I'm just thinking in terms of, let's say when you start to do a little bit more outreach for that target audience and then they go to your profile and they see the different post or things that you're
the variety of it,
right? So like if, you know, I'm a marketer and I'm targeting, you know, tax professionals to, you know, to work with, and I'm talking about things related to marketing on my page where other marketers are kind of chiming in, and a tax professional visits my profile and sees, wow, this guy is he really likes marketing,
and he's really respected by his peers too,
respected by his peers, and so you start to get some of that authority. So yes, I agree that it might not necessarily be, you know, content that's specific for the audience. But I think it certainly helps build authority once people start to reach your page and be curious about, okay, who is this guy? And then start to see some of the ideas, the thoughts, the forward thinking that you expect from somebody that you want to work with.
Sure. What else?
I really like the idea of being able to use stories, especially for tax professionals, where you're giving ideas, or not necessarily ideas, you're expressing a story about somebody that you helped, whether if it's in your niche or your audience, right? Like, talk about those wins. Like, you were able to help this chiropractor or this freelancer or this content creator, you know, before they started working with me. Here's kind of how their system was.
One of my clients came to me with a $500,000 bill from the IRS, and here's how I saved them $450,000, you know, like that.
Yeah, something like that, where people want to see those kind of stories because they're facing a lot of those challenges. And they hate going to a tax professional that may not care as much, and you can kind of see within the story how much you care.
But by the way, I laugh at that, but I used to write a lot of that copy for one of my clients back in the day. And that was the copy that would make people like hungry, like starving to just get on a call. Like, if this person can save this other person this much money.
Crazy FOMO.
It is FOMO.
Oh my God. They're like, how I want that. Like, I want to be able to get those savings.
Why isn't my tax or my accountant or my, not doing this for me? What is going on here? You know, like, and then they start talking about the other tax pro and all this other stuff. But So
you want to be able to use those stories, those case studies to, you know, to get people to notice you and the things that you're able to do from a tax perspective. I think LinkedIn does a really, really cool job of that. Obviously, also sharing, you know, articles around the industry. Updates around the industry. Again, these are opportunities for you to be the authority figure, the thought leader, and always kind of referencing things like that, or those industry updates or things that are happening in the industry. You know, you start to separate yourself, and people may want to, maybe they respect that you're so ingratiated in all things tax. That again, that it just gives you that kind of pizzazz, if you will.
Love that. I think that there are new tools on LinkedIn that you should also leverage. There are collaboration articles. I don't know if you've
elaborate on that.
So cool. There is a badge that you can get as a thought leader. Like, you can become a thought leader on LinkedIn. That's a badge, and not everybody gets this badge. You have to actually do a lot of collaboration and post content. But sometimes you do get the opportunity, like LinkedIn will send you an article and says, hey, would you like to collaborate on this article about X, Y, and Z. And all you have to do is write one paragraph of that article. And the more you do that, the higher the chance is that you get that badge. Then that badge, LinkedIn basically says, oh, this person's content is valuable. I'm going to and bring it up to the algorithm, right? Yeah. So things like that are really important. I know that short video is actually out already.
Lives as well. They actually receive, I saw a pretty cool stat where they receive 7 times as many comments on lives and 28 times like comments or the engagement.
But lives used to be not available for everyone, right? But now those things are coming into LinkedIn. So if you are already doing short form video on other platforms, don't reinvent the wheel just yet. I mean, eventually you do want to create content that is, specific to that platform, but start throwing out those videos that you already created inside LinkedIn because it's new. It's a brand new tool. And as you know, social media platforms, when they have a brand new tool, they're going to try to put as much attention. They're going to drive that traffic over to those new pieces of content, right? Because the platform doesn't want you to leave the platform. So just throw them in there. You have them, be consistent, because also the consistency is really important on LinkedIn too. Because I know that for me, sometimes I go for like every week I post and then I stop, and you will see that people start viewing your profile, right? I get a bunch of views and I'm like, oh yeah, here we go. And then I stop for some reason and then the views just go down. So that's another thing. That's one of the KPIs that you're going to want to track, like how many people are viewing your profile too through all of the content interaction.
They'll definitely reward you for consistency, and like you said, it's across all different platforms. Same for Facebook, Instagram. The algorithm knows like, oh, this person's really engaged in spreading a lot of content, a lot of value. And depending on how people engage with it, Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, they're going to want to show more of that because people are having a good experience on that platform. So it makes sense. Now, I know that we kind of broke down a little bit of the organic piece, making sure that the bio is good, making sure that you're creating specific content for LinkedIn, because obviously it's a little different from the other platforms. One thing that we haven't touched on so much is the LinkedIn paid ads, right? So what's your experience been like with doing things like that? Do you like it? Is it worth it?
Boy. Okay, so my experience with paid LinkedIn ads is actually, this is what I tell everybody. If you don't have the budget, don't even go there. Because typically LinkedIn leads through paid advertising are way more expensive than Facebook ads and Google ads. So, and this is it is crazy. I mean, just go into like any marketer, a group, and everybody complains about the same thing. Like, why is it so expensive? But the reason it is expensive is because LinkedIn's data pool is so exquisite, right? It has businesses. It has people that
it's more intentional.
Yes, it has people that have money to pay, because technically speaking, these are all decision makers, So like, whether it is that you're trying to sell something on the B2C side, whether you're selling to moms, whether you're selling to dentists, these are all people that maybe don't have the money, but they're all decision makers, and they will eventually purchase something. Versus when you throw something like a Facebook ad, it's still really good data, but it's nothing like the pool that LinkedIn has. And so LinkedIn ads typically are more expensive.
One of the ads that I really like, that are a little different from the rest, is the in-mail sponsored posts.
Yes.
Those are pretty cool because you're within LinkedIn's manager, right? You start to segment the type of audience that you're trying to go after. Let's say by job or by title, and you start to narrow down the people that you're sending this out to. Now, I don't recommend having such a really, really big audience like you do on Facebook. Facebook, a good audience range can be 1 million, 2 million people. I think that's kind of narrow enough for Facebook.
Perfect,
But for LinkedIn, I think you need to narrow that down a lot more, because for these in-mail sponsored posts, and I think they determine a certain a price for each one that you send. It's not like a cost per click. Like when you send, let's say, an in-mail sponsored post to, let's say, and I would say the range probably, let's say 15 to 20,000 people. you're getting charged for that. Every time it hits a certain inbox.
How much have you gotten
so
charged for?
I've seen some that are like maybe 60 cents, 70 cents.
Even 60 cents is a lot.
It's high. It's high. And they'll determine that before you start to send those out. But I think they're really, really interesting because if you have a strong offer, if you got a good, quick little hook, especially to that ideal audience that you're going after, it can be extremely powerful.
Well, I am of the school of thought of, instead of doing LinkedIn ads, why don't you sign up for something like Copilot AI or Walaxy? Not sponsored, but hey, hit me up, okay? I be telling everybody about these tools. But these two tools, there's a variety of these. Basically automate a lot of the LinkedIn outreach that you would do. And you can tell them who your ICA or ideal client avatar is. And then they will actually do the LinkedIn personal invite. Then you can even automate the message after they approve your request. And then you can actually send a message right after, like if Jesse, if I'm reaching out to you because I work with, let's say you're an entrepreneur with entrepreneurs and your title says founder, right? Mm-hmm. I will send you an invite through Walaxy or Copilot. Then once you accept, Walaxy or Copilot will send you an automated message. Hey, Jesse, this is Emily. Thank you so much for accepting my invite or my request. That's all I say, right? Then I look at your profile, but I'm not really looking at your profile. Right. It's the actual software tool, right? But you think that I am, right? And then if you respond, it also gets a trigger if you respond. And at that point, it can send it to the CRM, or you can actually automate the responses after that. I mean, like, it can get really fancy.
Now, a question for that. So how much do you compensate the ability to be personable on that platform versus automating some of those things?
I like to keep it balanced. Okay. So right after somebody responds, I would respond, which is why I would have like a salesperson, or if I'm doing a solo thing, I would do it myself, because the response is really what gets you to the point where they want to book a call with you. So I would keep a fine balance to that. Some people say that AI now is getting to the point that can even respond just as good, but I am not 100% sold on that.
Okay, that's fair. The reason why I bring that up is because some of those connections can get a little lost if they're very, very robotic. Yeah. Right? Especially on LinkedIn. And so, you know what I think would be cool is if we can do, for instance, like a workshop within the Facebook group where we can craft that initial compelling message, that invite. Yeah. Right? Like figure out like what's that quick little hook that's going to allow them to either book a call with you, or what's that 2-sentence elevator pitch, for specific industries or for specific audiences that I think that'll be really beneficial for them just to have.
Yeah, whether it's manual or automatic, I think it's important to like really get that response done well.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so definitely recommend that you guys check that software tool, because honestly, I'd rather spend $100 a month on that automation than on LinkedIn ads. It's garnered a lot more results for me than
and that. And going beyond kind of the ads route, obviously you have LinkedIn groups. Yeah. Right. So similar to kind of how we discussed, Facebook groups. Yeah. I'm sure there's and actually checked not too long ago, but just certain verticals, right? Yeah. Niches. So like salons.
Yeah, it might not work for everyone. Yeah. Right. You just you have to kind of look and see how active they are.
Test the engagement, see how many posts that they're doing. Like again, and you can't be too salesy. Yeah. You want to make sure that you come across as friendly. You're answering questions to certain posts that they're putting up. You're commenting. Give yourself some time to build that relationship within that group, and then start to kind of, like I said, sprinkle some of that in. But you can be very effective if you're going niche specific with LinkedIn groups, similar to Facebook groups and things like that.
Yeah, love that. Okay, so to wrap it up, Jesse, pop quiz. Ready?
Okay, man, she's putting me on the spot.
Joking. Give me a summary of how to get started on LinkedIn as a tax pro.
Okay, so from top to bottom, we want to make sure that the bio is completely optimized, right? That means making sure that you have a good picture, making sure that you have a strong, compelling headline, and making sure that you leverage keywords within your bio. Yep. Okay. Now, you also want to make sure from a content side, know that between Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn, different audiences. So we talked about, sharing ideas, thoughts, so that people can, eventually reach your page and see kind of the things that you're considering, thinking about within the industry. You want to use stories and case studies within a lot of the organic pieces to make sure that you're highlighting ways in which you can help that particular niche audience. Yep. And we also kind of discussed how to use LinkedIn paid ads, which, to your point, can be much more expensive than other platforms.
Yes,
but
they are.
Certainly effective in the sense that these are intentional buyers. These are people that have the money because they own their own business and can participate in a lot of the things that you're trying to do, as well as using in-mail sponsored posts, which I think are really cool. And I know we discussed kind of the workshop and making sure we can create like a really compelling headline for them. Yeah. And then finishing off with LinkedIn groups.
Yes.
So finding your niche within LinkedIn, not being too salesy up front, maybe, again, commenting on certain posts that they have, being friendly, and then again, finding your way to sprinkling some of the other stuff you have for your...
I would even add LinkedIn events are also something that you should...
LinkedIn events.
Yeah, you should probably look into, because some events are like catered to specific people, and you can literally just go down the list of the people that have RSVP'd on that event, right? Cool. Hey, I noticed that you're gonna go to that event on LinkedIn, and here I am, so there are different ways that we can leverage. And I think that it would be good to not just have that workshop, Jesse, but also dive deeper into LinkedIn. We are coming up with, we're going to be launching Refundo Academy soon. We'll talk more about that in later episodes, but Refundo Academy will have an extensive curriculum on really like master level strategies for social media. This is just scratching
the surface.
The surface. We can go really deep, trust me. And we are really excited about that. We know that whoever goes into Refundo Academy is going to get a treasure trove of master techniques that you would actually pay thousands upon thousands of dollars to just get access to those things. But we're really excited about that. If you guys have any questions or want to participate in those workshops, make sure that you click on the link in the description box. We'll have the link to the Facebook group, and we'll see you on the next one.
Ciao.